This is Peter Noah, writer of episode 512, The Cook. You're listening to the Blacklist Exposed on Golden Spiral Media.
In the words of little green guys too small to wield a sword, much to learn you still have, my young Liz. Welcome to the award-winning Blacklist Exposed podcast. I am Troy Heinrichs, Jedi Knight.
You can't just title yourself.
That's what my phone calls me on Siri.
And I am Agent Aaron Peterson. I'm here to remind you, I learned this from many, many James Bond movies. When your villain begins to monologue, shoot him. Just shoot him. That's all you got to do. Thanks for joining us once again as we discuss number 56 on the Blacklist, The Cook, written by Peter Noah and directed by Salvan Slick Name.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Show notes, another intel for this episode of The Blacklist Exposed can be found where? At theblacklistexposed.com. That's where.
Well, before we get on with the fun for this week's show, we took a little poll to see what you all thought about Red's new hat. And the results are in, Sir Aaron. What did you think people were going to say and what actually happened?
I didn't know that they were really going to answer it. I just thought it was kind of funny. So I thought people were going to say, hey, it looks cool, but let's not make this a thing. And I think that's what we got. 70% say stick with the fedora. 18% said Glenn is going to give you so much crap. 10% agree with Liz that it was amazing. And 2% said you really spent $3 million on that. I'm honestly with the 2%. I like the hat. I love Churchill, but it's just, it's hard to pull off.
It looked a little goofy. It did.
It's hard to pull off. That's all I'm going to say. It's hard to pull off by anyone.
By anyone.
Definitely by Churchill himself. The only reason it worked is because nobody cared what he looked like.
It was also during the Blitz. So he had a lot more other things to worry about.
Didn't have like 24/7 media coverage to pop his face all over the place either.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. So what's our profiling question this week?
I want to know from everybody, Troy's question is Fagin the man that started the fire? The fire. The one and only fire. I'm
going to chime in on this one. Didn't he start to say, hey, if you think something about that fire, and he's like, shh. We're not talking about that right now.
Could be anything, though. Doesn't have to be that fire. Could have been any other fire. You don't know because we don't know what that fire is referred to as a code name. So
you think it might be this fire?
Could be.
Okay. All right.
We'll see what the polling audience says. Is it this fire or just any other fire?
Interesting.
Fire.
Okay. Fire. Need TP for me. Sorry.
All right. Before this podcast goes up in flames, let's get to this week's case profile.
All right. I can't believe that's still a thing. I still hear it. This is a true story. My dad has a GPS of Beavis and Butthead. I'm not kidding.
That is amazing.
It's awful. It is one of the worst things you'll ever hear in a car. Don't ever get it because every time, it has directions and we go, take a left, take a left. And it drives my mom crazy. I think she almost threw it out the window once. It's pretty cool.
I want to go for
and he's like an old guy. Why do you have Beavis and Butthead?
Your dad just ultimately went up cooler points in my book. I want to go for a ride with him.
Okay, well, he went the other way in mine. The cook is not a system. I love my dad. Don't write me. The cook is not a system. He's a man, and he's getting naked a lot. Before preparing this trial by fire that he does, he basically burns a woman alive. Then we come to find out that there's 500,000 arson fires. I don't know if this is true. It's just the statistic that we were given on the show. 500,000 arson fires happen every year, and about 500 people die. This one, though, was murder by arson, by a serial killer. I do want to say, we're obviously going to cover, we do, the crux of the episode, then we do the characters, but this didn't really feel so much like a blacklister as an ends to the means, like he had to get Fagin out is all it really worked out to be. Yes?
That seems what a lot of the season's been, though, as we look at
what's going to help Red.
What's going to help Red, exactly. As he's rebuilding his empire, he's got to that point where he's got the cash. Now he just needs the resources. So I think the second half is all about people and things that are not on face value. And so there's a lot of mystery and cover up and things in the shadows. And we're starting to unpeel that onion slowly but surely.
Well, this all leads them to Earl Fagin. He's an arson investigator / arsonist who was locked away. See, apparently he investigated fires that he started. Should make it for an easy job, you would think, but apparently he, didn't work out so well.
So you were kind of close in getting your backdraft situation going on here with Kurt Russell showing up. It just wasn't Kurt Russell.
What? That's a missed opportunity.
Right? Right?
I didn't even think of that till right now. You got the Stargate connection and you get backdraft. It feels like a perfect missed opportunity. I'm with you 100%. Any excuse to put Kurt Russell in any TV show ever, especially The Blacklist, makes my life better.
But he was still pretty cool either way.
But as a consolation prize, not that C. Thomas Howell is a consolation prize. I'm a big fan of his work. I love The Hitcher. Soul Man, huh? Soul Man? The movie you could never make today, ever. But did you ever see Soul Man?
Long time ago.
Do you remember it?
Vaguely.
You should probably Google it because you could never make that movie now. But he's up for parole, and you shouldn't. He's up for parole, and if he helps them, and of course he offers to help them, I guess I understand why Red needed him. But I can't quite understand why the task force agreed to these terms because I'm sure there are a lot of great arson investigators out there they could at their resource. Yeah.
Yeah, but remember, it's the part of the deal with the task force. So Cooper's like, yeah, I don't know if we should do this, but it's kind of the deal we have, so let's go ahead and do it. So, I mean, you got to move the show forward. It is what it is. But I agree with you that there probably could have been somebody else we could have called. I mean, we could have called Kurt Russell.
I would have called Kurt Russell. I often do, and they told me I got to stay 50 yards away. Discipline, not faith, is found in a black light. He finds this phrase in the black light. And that leads us to 4 other fires with...
I have to say, I am totally fascinated by the science in this episode. And you've always wanted to get science into a podcast. The fact that he can burn everything except one wall. I mean, that is just brilliant. And how wind blows, fire goes where the wind... I mean, how do you avoid one wall? That's just pure genius.
Do it. You can do it. It can be done.
I know.
I will. Do you want some insight into my personal life? You want a true story?
I didn't want you to placate yourself or get yourself incriminated by things you've done in your past.
I have. Actually, I was... When I was young, my buddy and I were forced to go through fire training because we burned his grandma's kitchen a lot. So that was our penance. We had to go through fire training, which you would think, they show you a lot of horrific things and things that fire can cause, and it's very terrible and awful. But also, I mean, I'm a very young age, so you see a lot of, you're learning as well. You're like, hey, wow, that's some cool stuff you can do with fire at the same time. So a lot of this stuff was fascinating to me because it reminded me of that class I was forced to take. There you go. There's an insight into my life. I'm sorry. No one was harmed during the making of our fire class, by the way.
That's good.
All right. Discipline, not faith, is found in Blacklight. 4 other fires with the pentagram, up to 7 deaths so far. 5 limbs of man. The inverted pentagram depicts the natural order turned on its head. These victims need to be purified by fire. So at this point in the episode, once we learned this aspect of it, did you kind of see where it was going? I mean, I kind of figured it was going to be someone of religious or faith at this point.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if it was going to end up being like a priest or related to the church or the cloth or any of that. I thought maybe this was like a secret underground thing. You had the whole T...
An underground cult of priests?
Yeah, potentially. I mean, he had like the T-pin. I haven't seen the T-pin before in any kind of, religious, whether, Buddhism, Judaism, Christianity, what have you. The T-pin kind of threw me off. I'm like, what is this that's going on? So I find it very interesting. And then when he did actually have the collar for the priest and he's talking to Claire, was it, at the bar? I'm like, Oh, this is going to be one of these things where the priest is a naughty priest. And then I was kind of like, whoa, NBC is going to go dark with this one. And sure enough, it went there.
I liked it. I mean, you'd think all they really had to do was call those spotlight reporters, and this episode could have been a lot shorter, but that's beside the point. I really like the aspect of it. I've seen this concept done before, but this was a really clever way to do it. And that whole scene with him and Claire, was it her name Claire? I didn't remember what her name was. That whole scene with him and her at the bar, I thought was extremely intense and interesting in how they painted. I thought it was directed very well because it was very unnerving on from once we understand his point of view, but I also understood where she was coming from, so it didn't seem weird and uncomfortable.
And we didn't quite have that point of view either when he's first talking to Claire sitting at the table, and when Slick uses the camera the way he does to show, like, you know, her skin through the arm of her shirt, and it was just like, I'm really uncomfortable in this scene, and I don't know why I'm supposed to be uncomfortable, because I really don't want her to be a victim, but I feel like they're setting this up to be a victim thing, and sure enough, she was.
Yeah, I didn't know he was going to be all pervy at first. You know, I just kind of thought it was going to be, he just wanted people, like, my idea was he heard confessions and they didn't sit well with him, and they didn't really beg. He didn't feel like they asked for redemption properly or something, so that's why he burned them. That's what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, or
I didn't see the pervy angle.
Or potentially, like, he heard the confessions and then caught them doing something, so he had to purify them because they weren't able to repent. And we're just using him in his cloth for his time, and it pissed him off. But the pervy angle, yeah, did not see that coming until those camera shots, and I'm like, that's kind of gross.
I don't think television is a big Catholic fan most of the time. You never see priests doing great things.
I don't think
anymore.
The Blacklist writers are very big fans either. A lot of priests in this show.
So Soul Man Fagin finds a receipt that leads him to a hardware purchase, and the killer looks like a priest. It's our priest. Some random girl walks up to the priest, like Troy already talked about, Claire, and confesses. And I want to say this moment reminded me that being a priest must suck, because it's kind of like being Will Smith. You know, you can't go to a bar without somebody bothering you. And this guy is just trying to get a drink, and this lady comes over. Hey, you know what? I'm deciding if I want to ruin my relationship or not. You got time? You know, that sort of thing must weigh heavily on those people. So let's give him some credit.
Well, good on him, because, I mean, he looked kind of like a scruffy nerf herder originally.
Really? You just, like, wrote that down and said, I can't wait to use scruffy nerf herder at some point in this episode.
It won't be the last.
It should be.
Hey, you already used the cook is not a system, he's a man from the top of the show.
It should be. It should be. Okay, man. Oh, yeah. So many Star Wars references. What the hell is going on with that? That was so weird.
It was great.
It was great because
awesome.
we're nerds. But I don't know if that's necessarily... I mean, I was just... Why? And why doesn't he like it? What is wrong with Red? I bet he watches The Godfather a lot. That's probably what it is. What? You'd rather watch The Godmother?
I don't think he watches... That's funny. That's good. I like that one. No, I don't think he watches The Godfather either. He's just not into pulp culture at all. He'd rather have a book. Did The Godfather come out in a book?
I believe it was a book, actually, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. All right, Wrestler Samar talked to Tommy Waddles, the priest boss, basically. I think spiritual director. Is that what his title was?
Yeah, it didn't seem like it was a very up-and-coming religion. Spiritual advisor.
Yeah, that's what his title was, right?
Yeah.
It was like spiritual advisor, so I'm not making that up.
No, not at all.
Okay, they talk to him, and they find out that Tommy has visions and fantasies of women. This is where we kind of learn that he's a big perv. Or, I'm sorry, he has a damaged psyche that obviously he's pervy. He thinks women are demons and temptresses. I don't necessarily say that I disagree with you there, Tommy, but what you're doing is wrong. So he dreams of destroying them, you sicko, and he has a weird thing for saran wrap. That's just weird. I mean,
the saran wrap thing was interesting. I wanted to know what that was all about. Is that was like something like to accelerate the fire, burning the skin?
Yes,
or to
I think it's an accelerant. Yeah, that's the way I understood it, unless I misunderstood what they were saying, which there was a lot going on in this episode. But I feel like it was there to function as an accelerant. Now, I don't know that saran wrap functions in that way, because he could just use duct tape to hold them in place, right?
I mean, I worked at a candy store and made those gift baskets, and I know that the heat from the hairdryer makes the saran wrap kind of shrink and tighten up. So I would think that this would almost mummify the body with the intense heat from the fire. Like the saran wrap would stick to the skin and it would just kind of hold it in place.
That could be. That could be. They didn't teach this in the fire class. Saran wrap wasn't part of the course.
Man,
so I didn't get that.
Get your money back.
Should. Somebody's going to write a letter because I said that the women's are demons and temptresses. I can already feel it. You can't say that. Yeah, you can. You have a few relationships. You could say it. They had 45 minutes of monologuing to tackle Firestarter or shoot the lighter out of his hand before he doused himself in that fire. And that was my dum-dum moment of the week, and I want to talk to you about that. So they have the guy dead to rights, and he's holding the lighter, and he hasn't yet poured the accelerant upon his person, right?
Right.
Correct?
Because
And then he starts, and then he starts talking, much like Troy always does. And they have plenty of time. They're also, hey, stop, put it down, do this, do that, do the hokey pokey, turn yourself around. And he just eventually, we're all sitting there screaming at our TVs, he's going to burn himself. And then he does.
The stuff that he put on his body, though, in the house, was that a protectant initially?
I believe so.
Or was he truly going to die in there with Claire? That's what I can't understand.
I'm pretty sure it was to not burn because he didn't intend to die. It just happened.
But then why would the accelerant be burned and not... it seemed like if he pours the accelerant on him, that only the fire would be in certain places then because he still had this protective gel also. Like, it seems like it'd be more like gasoline, where the gasoline would burn on the top layer, but it wouldn't burn all the way through because it would burn off, like alcohol. It would burn off faster than the bottom layer would be able to catch on.
He did the same clothes thing at the beginning, so at the first one. So it's the same thing. So I do believe it was a protectant. And then he got out there and realized he was caught, so he decided to end his life the way he wanted to, on his terms, which was fire. And apparently everybody was cool with it because it gave him plenty of time to do so.
All could have been avoided.
I like this episode, but that was a big dum-dum moment. I'm like, that's what? Shoot him! Shoot his hand. It's not, contrary to popular belief, shooting is not going to light him on fire unless it's a tracer bullet. So there's no spark from that bullet. It'll take his hand out. It's fine. He'll get another one. You don't need it anyway. He just lights people on fire anyway.
Yeah, unless he's using a flare gun like Liz. Then you have a problem.
Right. The guy's killing innocent women. I don't have any problem with shooting his hand off. I really don't. Or him burning himself alive, actually. So, I guess it worked out fine. Maybe the wrestler saw it that way. He's like, you know what? I'll just wait this out and see where it goes. Well,
he could have shot his hand, dropped the lighter, and the spark of the lighter could have actually gone off as it hit the ground, potentially. But he could have still...
That is a leap.
You could have still busted him in a kneecap, though.
He could have tackled him. This guy was slow. He still would have had to... I get not tackling him, but I don't get not shooting his hand. Shoot the lighter out of his hand. That's what every cop is trained to do. Well, you're taught to hit for center mass, but he's holding a lighter, you probably go for the hand.
Well, and I could see not tackling him because he already poured the accelerant on him. So if you tackle him, then you might have that on you, and then you could go up in flames if there's a wrestle and something happens, and you'd be putting yourself in danger. So that's probably why the tackle option was out.
Well, are you with me or against me on this moment? Like, this is,
oh, no,
I like the show, but that was a little bit silly.
Yeah, it was definitely let's have this here for a huge monologue.
Like, I don't need to hear your Bible verses. Somebody shoot him or tackle him. I don't care. Wrestler had time to go back out on the street, run around the neighborhood, come back behind him, and jump him that way. That's how much time he had.
I think the whole thing could have been avoided if Cooper would have been a better leader, personally.
Ouch, man.
Well,
why are you going to put it on his door?
All he had to say was, I want you to go out there. I want him alive. No disintegrations. It would have been over. It would have been over.
Is this another Star Wars reference we're doing?
It was.
Yeah. You're just going to keep trying to force them where they don't belong?
All the time.
That's what we're going to do?
All day long.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm just pointing out, it didn't work. But you tried.
I tried.
Fagin is getting parole, it turns out. So I guess the question, and which is the profiling question, is why does he matter? You want me to set a fire? He asks, what do you think about Fagin?
I like the guy. Seems cool, like a cool cat. I'd hang with him.
That's what you got. Do you think he's the guy that set the fire that ultimately scarred Red?
I don't know.
Or Liz?
I don't know. Because it all depends on which fire you're thinking about. Because there is this.
I'm asking you, what do you think his relevance is what I'm asking you.
Oh, I'm sure he's involved with one of these fires. Like, I don't know if the fires are the same fires, right? There's this fire he comes home and, his family's murdered, and he says that it was a fire on Christmas Eve to Madeline Pratt. Then we have the fire that happens with Katarina and Requiem. Is that the same fire, or is that two different fires? I don't know. So, a lot of open questions, but this guy is definitely involved in one of those because Red was like, zip it. Mm-hmm. Don't tell the audience. Hold that thought. But
no clues until sweeps. That's the rule.
Yeah, because sweeps technically doesn't start till tomorrow.
Is it really?
Yeah, Feb 1st is sweeps start time for 2018. So we missed it by one day.
We've only got one more episode before the Olympics, right?
Yeah. So
that
means next week is going to be huge because it's sweeps. Sweeps.
You are super excited for that.
I'm not. Nobody watches live anymore. It's all on tape delay, DVR.
Yeah, I don't watch the Olympics. I mean, I will because we like NBC and all that jive, but No, I'm not going to watch it.
I have curling.
I'll watch Cool Runnings.
I have curling on in the background while I work, but
Do you really?
yeah,
Why?
because it's fascinating when it gets to the 10th frame.
Okay.
The 9 frames before that, it's boring as sin, but the 10th frame is exciting.
All right. Well, nobody cares about this conversation, so let's go to characters.
Characters this week always starts with music, and only 2 songs this week because they blew the music budget last week. What better way to open up the show, though, about murder by arson than the cover of Ring of Fire from Wall of Voodoo? And then at the end of the episode, when Liz and Red look on at Agnes from afar, we hear the song Signal to Noise from Frankel.
Agnes is 26 years old, by the way. I don't know if you got a glimpse. She's 26 years old.
He was not 26.
She has her bachelor's in criminal investigation already. It's pretty fascinating.
She was 2.6, but not 26.
Nah. All right, Tadashi. This is 15-year-old informant. I love this aspect. I thought this was great.
Can we get like a new Doogie Howser show with this guy? Like a computer hacking, pop culture reference type thing? That's a pilot we could sell.
I dig this kid, man. He types like you talk. Super fast.
Super fast.
I can't understand what he's saying. It's great. This was a different aspect because you see Liz's utter shock at the fact that he's using a child for information. But the kid's great, and he seems really excited. He's really into it. His mom hates Red. I thought that was a fun angle. But he finds out that the eye is a tracker, which leads Evil Glenn / Ian Garvey / Ian Garvey right to their door. And this, of course, makes them have to hole up in a hotel because what are you going to do? They can't go back to their house because everybody knows they're there now.
So
what did you think about the kid informant? Do you like this angle?
I love the kid informant. I think that's totally awesome. It reminds me of the guy from The Troll Farmer when they had that episode where it was a younger guy, kind of hip with his little group of people surfing the internet to find the news and fake the news and stuff. So anybody that's in that kind of pulp culture, and it's cool because Red's using people that he doesn't. It's the art of a great leader, right? You surround yourself with skill sets that you don't have in order to make yourself look better, and that's exactly what he's doing here. He has no clue on this face thing. The pop culture thing totally is beside him. So absolutely, grab a 15-year-old. They're always the smarter ones. Teenagers know everything.
I thought it was pretty clever. There is one side to this, though, that I think people are... I've seen some fans not love, I guess. And that's the aspect that Red doesn't seem to know anything about technology. I mean, I don't really think he's ever been seen as any kind of technological savant, so I don't know what's different about that. But I think some people have seen it as they were painting him as almost, I don't know, ignorant in the world of technology and ignorant in its place in the world, the last couple of weeks. Blue teeth, and then this week where he doesn't know anything, including Star Wars. Do you see something different, a turning of the character? I don't see anything really out of the ordinary. I just think it's there for fun.
Let's be clear. First of all, apparently he was missing from 1990 to 1994. So we don't know where he was at that time, and that was when the internet was starting to become a thing.
Okay,
right?
This is a huge stretch you're on right now.
And then in 94, when he resurfaces, he's in foreign country. So, I mean, the internet's like a thing in the United States in 95. Countries around the world didn't necessarily jump on the big .com bubble, boom, whatever until maybe like 2000. So there's a good chance that he just never really picked up on it because of where he was stationed. And if he was hiding in a hole, hiding out in a shack or whatever in these countries to avoid whatever he's avoiding and moving around. I mean, he does all of his business face to face. Who does that in this age? It's always WebEx or GoToMeeting or Zoom conference or one of those other things. So for him, he's just a very old fashioned guy. He likes his books and he likes to do business in person. So no, I don't think this is a deviation from the character at all. It fits him perfectly.
I do think to be a criminal mastermind, you have to have some understanding of technology because it's the way the world works now.
I have 9 figures. I have people that do that.
Yeah, you still got to have some inkling, but it doesn't bother me at all. I think it's actually kind of funny, so I don't care.
I think
keep doing it, man. I'm laughing. Yeah, I'm laughing. That's all I care about. I am entertained. That's really what it's supposed to be, right? About being entertained.
Yes.
Doesn't have to be science every time.
It doesn't have to be real. I mean, they monologued for 5 hours.
Exactly. And guess what? He would have got so shot. So shot. The cop behind Wrestler would have shot him. That's how long this guy monologued. You're like, come on, man. Poof. Dembe. All he really does in this episode is he explains to Red that he's lying. He explains to Red that Liz is calling him a liar. And I thought that was a very pivotal moment, though, because it really felt like maybe Red didn't quite understand that. Like maybe he thought she wasn't not necessarily onto him, but she wasn't calling him out for it.
Oh no, she called him out point blank.
I know, but I don't think he was quite coming to the reality that he needed to address it.
Oh, I'm pretty sure he was. Otherwise, he would have said something.
Look at it. Go back and look at his face. Up until that point, when Debbie has that conversation, he has an awakening to the fact that he has to talk to Liz, where I don't think he was going to do that before. He was just going to say nothing. And I think Dembe's conversation is what provoked him to have his later conversation with Liz.
That I agreed with.
Well, that's what I was saying the whole time.
I forgot where Dembe's conversation was in the process. I thought his conversation was before Liz talked to him the first time, but it was in between the first conversation and the second conversation.
Correct.
We just watched it, man. Cut me some slack.
Stop answering super quick. Think, man. Take a breath. It's okay. Breathe. We move on to Wrestler. Once again, it's kind of like just Mr. Business this week. Who floated your boat? I like that. Or what floated your boat? I like that line. I don't know why. I just like that line. But you do get a little instance of everyone deserves a second chance, which is a callback to his arc this season. And do you feel like he is really in that position where he's trying to earn back his stripes? He's trying to earn back his own personal belief in himself?
I think he did that, though, when he was able to take care of Prescott and not kill Prescott. I think
it's still an internal battle, though.
I think it'll always be an internal battle for him because of what happened to his dad. The thing that's probably maybe a little bit more disappointing is that as he's giving this speech, you have Samar sitting there listening to it, and then it cuts to Cooper where her and Cooper previously had a conversation about Wrestler and how they feel about him and what's going on. So the fact that she doesn't comment about his comment at the parole hearing, I thought was a miss to me.
Oh, I think she got a couple jabs in, I think she got a couple jabs in throughout the episode.
Throughout the episode, yeah, but specifically with Cooper, because there was that hanging chat from before where they had that conversation. Here she could have said, "Hey, he mentioned this at the parole hearing. Do you know anything?" I thought maybe that would have been a nice play in, and Cooper could have been like, "No, I don't understand what's going on either. It's good. He's all good."
You know what? He's in charge. She can only call him on the carpet so many times before you get in trouble.
It's true.
It is true. Moving on to Cooper, he doesn't do much but mission delegation and information reiteration in this episode. Would you agree?
Yeah, pretty much standard Cooper fare.
Okay. Moving on to Samar. Being here gives me the impression crime pays. I really like that line.
That was a great line.
That gave me I do like that she's kind of the handler at this point. She's Red's handler throughout all this since Liz left. And it makes sense and it's fitting and it's good that she's getting more time.
Are you disappointed that it's not Aram, though, since Aram was going to get trained in the field and Aram and Red had this special working relationship throughout season 3?
No, I'm a little I'll get to Aram in a minute, but I guess since you brought it up, a little disappointed that we haven't seen him in the field because we know it's been so long. And I would think that by now he would be field tested, but he might be, and he still is stationed in the post office.
But he could have been and not passed, or maybe he hey, this is too much. I don't want to do this. I want to go back to what I was doing before.
Right, but it's been like 3 episodes. Where are we at? 3?
It's been a year.
4.
It's been a year.
No, how many episodes since
4?
Yeah, 4. Okay.
So he was out in the field during the informant with Samar.
That's true. I would just like to see it addressed because I know it has to have come up at some point already.
Sure.
But we haven't seen that play out. But that's beside the point. We're still on Samar. So called Fagin out for living a double life. I thought that felt like a jab at Wrestler. Agree?
Could have been. Or she was just saying it because she's angry with these types of characters. Potentially.
It could be, but isn't she one of those characters?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, exactly. It could be self-reflection, could be a jab at Wrestler, could be just statement in general to the audience, like, hey, double life, hello, imposter theory. But it could mean a bunch of things. If it was directly jabbed at Wrestler, I think she would have glanced his way as she delivered the line, or at least after she delivered the line.
And she also tells the priest, you should have said something about Tommy Waddles.
Yeah, she's a judge. She's a very much a, you should have done this, and very angry at people for not stepping up.
She's a judge. She's Judge Judy.
Potentially, yeah.
Well, I mean, this is a very This is a guy who is a threat to women. I'm sure she takes that very personal. She's a woman.
Yeah, but how did the priest? I mean, if he's doing it in confession, how does the priest going to make the jump that this guy who was a member of the cloth would have these tendencies to actually go out and carry out his fantasies?
It's not the same thing because he was a spiritual director. If he knew that outside of confession, he should have reported it. She's right. He should have told somebody. That's how that works. You're not protected outside of confession. Just because you're a priest, if you say randomly, "Hey, Bob, I plan on killing like 4 people later. What's up?" You can go tell people.
But he didn't say he was planning on killing them. He said he had fantasies and dreams of this stuff happening. So it's not like it was like an actual thing he was going to carry out.
Yeah, but it's one where I would probably take it to the guys with the bigger hats. You know, hey, bigger hat guy. The guy with the lesser hat and just the collar, he's freaky. So we need to talk to him.
Now you're stereotyping this Catholic-like scenario that they all wear hats? I see how it is.
Basically, where you are is determined by the size of your hat. Yeah.
All right.
I'm not Catholic. That's the way I understand it. Everybody that's in charge has bigger hats, right? That's how it works.
I guess.
I don't know. I don't want to offend anybody that's Catholic. I just know that the big people have really big hats. So I figure it's important. Churchill hats. Maybe Red is going to lead a church.
All right. You're fascinated by hats.
I do like hats. Okay, Aram, he tracks the killers down by a candy apple red Honda. And he's cute. He's so cute. He's adorable, even. That's what I hear.
That's what I hear.
And I want to say, I think Aram's on point this episode. Like, he's really just nailing down exactly where everybody needs to go. He's finding the clues left and right. He's solving this crime by himself, single-handedly.
He solves every crime by himself, single-handedly. Give the man a raise.
Did you catch his Star Wars reference?
I sure did.
What was it?
It was so great. That was so great. I got a bad feeling about this. I laughed out loud.
Yeah, that's in every Star Wars movie, I believe. I have a bad feeling about this. So, yeah, that's what Aram did this episode. We already talked about the field training. So we're already at Liz and Red. This episode was kind of like a whip, bang, zoom. It was a lot of the killer, which we already covered. But we got a lot of story with Liz and Red, I thought.
Oh, yeah, we did.
Okay, Liz. Red finds a guy who can analyze Navarro's eye. He finds the young boy. And she also thinks that she's figured it out. Or, no, I'm sorry, that Tom said he figured it out. So she's trying to figure out what Tom figured out. And she asks him point blank, do you know what Tom was talking about? Now, he doesn't say no. Now, it's funny because at this point, this is funny to me. Because on social media, everybody erupts because he doesn't say no and he gives her an answer, and it's kind of a Red answer where, you know, anybody who's known Red for 5 seasons would guess that he's full of something at this point. He's covering something up. He's not saying everything he knows. And of course, she doesn't press him on it. So social media erupts, right? They just start lashing out like, God, why doesn't she ask this question? Why didn't she ask that question? And then what does she do? She called him out on it. How do you feel about that? Because my honest question here is, with people already jumping down a throat before the episode even played out, do you think any way that she handled it would suffice?
No, I mean, you're never going to get an answer. But I thought what was creative about the scene, especially the first conversation, is how she's like, so, like, do you know, or you just can't say? And is this like your creative way of trying to be honest without actually giving me any answers? So it's like, so is this the confirmation that Red does not lie to Liz because he's not lying, he's just withholding information, which we've debated before, saying that you think that that's a lie. I said that it's not. So is this a way for the show to kind of confirm one way or the other? Does Red lie to Liz? He didn't lie. He didn't say, I don't know anything about it.
Do you think she handled it as well as she could, though?
It was great. I thought it was.
No, I mean, did you want her to do any? I realize we know that they're not going to release information because they're holding that secret, etc. But do you, as a viewer, think that she should have pressed him any more than she did, or was it the right amount? Like, she knew she wasn't going to get anything else anyway. That's where I land, because some people were, you got to do something, tie him up, whoop him until he tells you something. I'm like, he's not going to tell you. He's obviously the kind of guy that will take a secret to his grave. So all you can do is work with what you know and let him know that you're going to hold him accountable for it, which she did.
And he's like top 10 on the FBI's most wanted, if not number 1 or 2. And he's sitting there and supposedly the dad, And you're not going to tie him up and beat him up and get the information out of him. That just is not how you're going to operate. I think what she was able to ascertain is that Red knows something about this more than he's letting on, which is enough information for her, because she's like, thank you. He's like, for what? Because he didn't say anything at all, and not saying anything at all was just as good as saying something.
Yeah, and she's like, for now I know, basically.
Right.
Now I know that you know what's going on. And we'll come back to Red in that conversation, because he does give her a little bit more, but we got a couple other things before we get there. She did tell him, though, I want to point that out, she did say, I would have to be an idiot to believe that this isn't one of his lies.
Right. I thought that was funny. That was like a total fourth wall breaking moment there for me. Because we're all like,
how so?
Everybody's like, how can Liz be so dumb to keep going back to him? How come Liz flip-flops back and forth all the time? And then the fact that she's like, I got to be an idiot to believe this. I was like, oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Well, and I want to point out, they really are addressing, some of the fans' criticisms of the character of Liz over the last couple of seasons, where they felt like she flip-flopped, because she's not really doing that. She's not. She's really held fast to what her mission is, which is to find out exactly why Tom died. And she knows Red is full of it. She knows she's only going to get certain amounts of information. So I've loved this arc. I think this arc has been played perfectly. I haven't seen a problem with it yet.
Not
honestly.
At all. And for the people that are going like, oh my gosh, now we're going to go back to the Liz hates Red, Liz loves Red, Liz hates Red conversation. I don't think that's true. I think Liz, after this episode, is clearly in the, I need to use you as much as you're using me, but I kind of am despicable with you right now. And as soon as I get what I need from you, I'm going to find out what the hell's going on.
Well, she said that right at the end.
Right.
She's going, yeah, well, hang on. We did find out that she's afraid of
spiders.
Who
isn't?
Not psychos or anything else, but spiders.
Yeah.
Like, that's your weak link right there? Spiders? Okay.
Well, she is a profiler. She's got to get into the minds of dark, sinister criminals. So after you do that, I mean, you either are not super afraid, or you almost become one yourself potentially, which she kind of has in the season arc. But
what does it have to do with spiders?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's easier to be afraid of spiders because she's not really afraid of bad guys anymore, because she is a bad guy.
That right there felt like a time when you just started talking and you're like, man, I got to make this go somewhere real quick.
It would have been a boring conversation otherwise.
All right. Well, she said at the end, she knows Red is keeping a secret. And she said before this is all over, before she's done with him, she will know his truth. Well, I hope so, because that'll probably be when the show's over. So you better know by then, or I'm going to be pissed.
Super pissed.
But I did like that she flat out told him. And he had a look of fear.
Yeah, he had a look of like, oh crap, what am I going to do now?
It was a look of fear. I think he was genuinely, maybe more unnerved is the right word, because I don't know if he was technically afraid, but I definitely feel like he was concerned about her, that she's going to learn that.
I got it. I know what the finale is going to be.
Oh boy,
Fagin is going to set fire to the suitcase, and we're never going to know the answer.
Yeah, fans would love that. That'd be a great way to go. I highly recommend they try it. And then blame you for it. Okay, Red. His contact lives with his mom. He's got a contact that lives with his mom, and he's a 15-year-old kid.
Well,
I just want to say that one more time, because that cracks me up.
Well, at first, when he said his contact lives with his mom, I was like, yes, Glenn's back again.
Well, I found this was a nice little tidbit. I'm like, oh, I bet Troy would jumped all over this moment. He's talking about how he's going to bribe them with a Joro spider, and he mentions that the spider can change its appearance to that of a beautiful woman, and basically bring men into her web, and then devours them. That felt like something you would like.
It was totally something I would like. It could have been foreshadowing for my theory, but it was also very much a foreshadowing of what the episode was about too. About a woman temptress, and how that, sucks you in and makes you, gets devoured by what was going on. So it could be just that a simple foreshadowing of the rest of the episode. But I thought it was interesting.
Yeah,
I did make a note of it.
I thought you would like that. We also, once again, we already talked about his technology problems, and he did mention how he is a leader, and he basically needs to surround himself with people who get it, because he doesn't. Which is really what you were saying.
It was.
To be in charge, you have to do that. I did think his Star Wars monologue was hilarious, as much along the lines of his blue teeth
face thing. Yeah.
But getting so much wrong about what Star Wars is. Little men with glowing sticks and all that stuff, and little green men with glowing sticks. I thought it was pretty funny, especially as a fan of Star Wars. So.
Got it. And then what was it at the end when he's like, "May the Force be with you"? He's like, "I don't understand that."
Yeah. Okay. Now, my favorite part of the episode. This is my favorite moment of the episode. My mouth was agape because I was shocked that he actually addressed and acknowledged the fact that there was something he was withholding from Liz, because he never does that. He just never does that. So Red comes clean with Liz. You know, it surprised me. I do know why Tom was killed, but I can't say. I have a secret and I need to keep it, even from you. Now, I am kind of shocked that Liz didn't at least maybe slap him in the face or something. Maybe she's holding that for a little bit. But what do you think about this? I mean, what do you, if you're Liz or you're in Liz's shoes, do you accept this? If you're in Red's shoes, does that make sense to even tell that? I mean, where do you sit with this whole conversation?
If I'm Liz, I'm getting really frustrated and I'd probably storm out. I would hit him if I didn't know he was my father, but since I know he's my father, I'm not going to hit him, but I would storm out and be really super frustrated. Mm-hmm. But I don't know what else he can do. I mean, he's not going to tell you. He could be like the kid. I mean, what are you going to be, like the whiny brat? Dad, 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 dad. Till he finally just says it and blurts it out. I mean, come on. Let's be real.
That never works, by the way.
It never works.
No.
You just pick him up, put him in a room, and shut the door. Lock it from the outside.
You lock your kids in closets? Is that what you're telling me?
I didn't say that. Okay. I said room. It's a much bigger space. They can roam around still.
All right. I was really genuinely surprised by this. I thought it was a great moment because, okay, we got somewhere. We moved a little. The needle moved just a hair. Just a hair, but just a hair. You know, we have acknowledgement that Liz knows that he's holding something. Liz knows that he knows exactly why. She completely is clear with him through that moment with Agnes, when they're watching Agnes, that not one day shall be wasted when you could have helped me. And he says that he won't, right?
Right.
I mean, he gave her his word.
This won't take any longer than it has to.
For as good as his word is. So I'm kind of hoping it will have to take a day longer just so he spills. It'll be a lot quicker that way.
Well, I think his words were specific, though. He said it won't take any longer than it has to, which could mean 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, and it would still technically be the truth.
Roughly until the show leaves?
Yeah, probably.
Could be. We better find out about what those bones are by the end of the year, though. Yeah?
That's what we were told.
Yeah. I want to know really, really bad. I really do. I still want to know.
Just like we were told we were know about the parental relationship last season, and people still don't believe it.
Yeah, people just don't. They're not going to believe anything.
Nope, not until the very last scene.
They should come on here and just reveal that Red is an alien. I just want to see, because that'll create a new camp. We haven't had a new camp in a while. Let's have a new one. Well, Red is an alien camp.
He can't be an alien because he's never seen Star Wars.
No, that's the gimmick. That's how he fools you. That's how he gets you, because he hasn't. No, I don't watch X-Files, man. What are you talking about? Obviously, it's on my time slot, so I definitely don't watch X-Files.
Exactly right. I was going to say, competing program.
Which all that leads to the phrase when they basically a staged location tracking leads to a note on paper meant for Red that says, "We know the truth." So they know his secret now, which means he is on a mission to kill them, I would guess. Yes?
Oh, I would assume so. Mm-hmm. Like, you called me out. You obviously know what you're not supposed to know, so therefore you dead.
Yep. I love that ending. Now, this, I don't like to use, I really don't feel like this is a filler episode. I think we got a lot of good character stuff in this one.
Huge.
But do you think next week, because it's before the Olympics, we're going to get anything more? We're going to get any mythology stuff, or we're going to get a deeper angle on the bones, or Ian Garvey, or anything?
I can't say anything.
Well, I don't know what that means. Did you watch something that I don't know?
No, I just know stuff you don't know from stuff you don't want to know about. So therefore, I can't say, because then you would know. And I'm not.
You were on the internet again, weren't you?
It's there.
You can avoid it. You can not look at stuff.
I just want to be part of Red's team. I got to keep up on this stuff. I got to make sure I'm smart enough.
Enjoy the ride. Shh. Let it happen. It's so much better that way. You don't watch trailers or previews or anything. It's so fun to watch it and not be misguided by whatever the promo said, because it's never accurate, ever.
I do like that we get all the different promos from all the different countries in the Facebook group, though. That's fun.
That is fun. I do like that. I usually I go back and watch them after I've seen the episode. I just try not to watch them before I watch the episode because it ruins it for me. Well, it doesn't ruin it, but it dilutes it a little bit. I like Discovery. It's weird. You know what it is mostly? Because of how they cut the promos. I really think NBC either gives too much away usually or misdirects too much. So it ends up not spoiling, but giving me more than I wanted for the episode before I watch it.
Well, the promo for next week was a little bit, I think, light. I think you really can get a sense of what next week is about from the promo.
Well, then I don't need to watch it, right?
Exactly right.
Winning. All right. Well, we're going to be back with Red's Rhetoric right after this.
Hi, I'm Brian.
And I'm Ruthie.
And we host the Star Trek Discovery podcast, part of the Golden Spiral Media Network.
Every week, we break down each new episode of Star Trek Discovery, a brand new series in the Star Trek franchise, available on CBS All Access in the U.S., Space in Canada, and Netflix everywhere else.
We analyze what happened, what we think will happen, and how the show fits and doesn't fit into Star Trek canon, and go through listener feedback.
You can find us at StarTrekDiscoveryPodcast.com and subscribe to us in Apple Podcasts or the podcast app of your choice.
And join our community. Our Facebook group is at facebook.com/groups/Star Trek Discovery Podcast.
Hey, Dimbe Loyals, this is Hisham Tawfiq. Always remember that you are breathing for a reason. You are listening to Blacklist Exposed on Golden Spiral Media.
Welcome to Red's Rhetoric, that part of the show where we play 2 clips from this week's episode of The Blacklist, and you get to vote which is your favorite over in our poll at theblacklistexposed.com. Just look for the post for The Cook. Last week, 67% of you were all about bringing back the rotary phone, as Red Tech won last time we met. Our first clip this week comes when we learn about Red's gift-giving abilities.
Whoa! The Mother's family operates a pet cafe in Kyoto. You can enjoy the most savory tsukemen ramen in and around a variety of animals native to Japan. Cormorants, katydids, the occasional tanuki.
And you thought spiders would be a welcome addition.
Joro spiders. In Japanese folklore, the Joro is said to be able to change its appearance to that of a beautiful woman who seduces men, binding them in her web before devouring them. Hence its name, Joro Gumo, or horror spider. Here's the mother's work address and a note. If you could please drop them off.
No, me?
I have a time-sensitive case for the task force. You did ask me to hold up my part of that deal in your absence.
Our second clip comes when Red shows us how pop culture is a true blacklister for him.
I sometimes feel as if I should pay more attention to pop culture. And I see this Star Wars featuring this giant in a bear costume piloting an aircraft and a little green guy sword fighting, and I say a silent prayer of thanks for Tolstoy's moral crisis.
Oh, if you can't figure this out.
This green fellow is considerably too short to be effective in a sword fight.
I assume since it was an eye, it would record video, but there's no camera. And I can't find a mic.
So what does it do?
No clue. It's using encrypted firmware. Even the bootloader is tamper-resistant. This is gonna take a while. Assuming I can crack it at all.
This is the world we live in now. I suppose we have to trust it.
Which is your favorite? If you have no arachnophobia or the fear of the number 4, vote #Red Spider. Or if you love Red's ability to master the Force, vote #Red Jedi.
All right. Now we're going to go into some special agent intel, correct?
Sure.
Okay. I'm going to start one off with Kira Adler. She says, I have a feeling the secret Red is protecting ties into promises and secrets being kept by those who are protecting Liz. If that's true, then Dom is one of the only people who could tell Liz. Ooh.
Very possible.
Ooh, I'll bet you Dom's coming back soon. You never know.
Cindy Keith said, Evil Glenn, love that it's caught on, seems to have a lot of thugs in his organization. He must be fairly well set as Mr. Big type person. Hard to believe that Red doesn't have an inkling about who this guy might be.
I love that Garvey is always called Evil Glenn. I love it. I think it's great. Greg Nauman, or is it Newman? Hello, Newman. Near the end, or hello, Nauman. Near the end, when Dembe, Red, and Liz went into the place where they thought Garvey was at, except for Newman, he doesn't call him Evil Glenn. We saw the "we know the truth" statement, which seemed to startle or at least irritate Red. It looked like 2 coins were at the top of the paper where that was written. Anybody get a good look at what they were or have any idea why they were there?
Good question. 2 coins.
Felt it was a message of some sort, maybe to taunt him.
2 pence. Maybe it's something with pence. 2 pence.
Penny for your thoughts. 2 pennies for when you know all your thoughts. I don't know how that works. All right, what's next?
Well, Kara Adler had a response to that and was wondering that the only thing she could think of is the Greek tradition of placing coins on the eyes of the dead to pay the toll to the ferryman, kind of like Garvey sending a message to Red to better get ready to pay the ferryman himself.
Look at the listeners. So smart. I never would have thought of that.
That's good. I like it.
I never would have thought of it.
All right, let's continue with let's see what Monica said. Monica said the show uses a lot of foreshadowing, so now we are at the point of having to hang on every single syllable, gesture, and camera angle to see how this plays out. First off, it looks like Thomas C. Howell will be returning. Yay! No sign or mention of Oleander still. Agnes is spotted, and yes, Liz is keeping her eye on her. Aram and Samar are happy together. Adorable. Which makes me fear for their safety. Wrestler's speech about second chances has got my predictions in a tailspin. I noticed Samar picked up on that. Is he going to be put in a day of reckoning with Liz, Red, or himself? Red's statement to Liz that he needs to keep this secret even from her tells me that he wants to tell her, but the truth could destroy her. Could it be her relationship with him he's worried about, or other outside evil forces involved with the secret? Oh yes, the Blacklist for this week was creepy. Great show, but with more questions than answers.
Well, that's most weeks, though.
It is. It is.
And Aram Dorable came back.
It did.
Aram Dorable.
There you go.
Woohoo! I like it. And also, Neil Ottenstein said Convergence is coming. Now, we did this episode a little earlier than normal because of personal stuff that we got going on. So we didn't get as much feedback as we normally would, but definitely hop in the Facebook group or on Twitter at The Blacklist Exposed or at The Blacklist Exposed GSM on Twitter. And be sure to join in the conversation because there's a lot of stuff going on. A lot of people are talking and theorizing, and I want you guys to make sure you partake in that. I think there's a lot of cool stuff happening. And we've got one more episode before we take another break.
Yeah, Olympics are in 2 weeks, so what's going to happen when we talk about some interesting stuff next week? It'll be fun to see if they do a cliffhanger to go out of the Olympics, or if they're going to take a break all the way till April. Who knows what's going to happen? So, I mean, if they take a long break, don't shoot the messengers. It's not our fault.
You know what you should do? Here's my recommendation. Okay, you guys sitting down, here's my recommendation. What you should do is once the Blacklist goes on break, if you're not an Olympics fan, go back and rewatch Westworld and then catch up with the Beyond Westworld podcast.
You know, I was thinking that exact same thing just today, that would be a great idea to do.
That's my theory, because I think it's coming back in April. That's my guess.
Well, the Olympics are, 19 days or so? So that means only 11 episodes of Westworld, 1 a day, plus you can listen to the podcast. It'll fit in perfectly. 22 days before Blacklist episodes, if it comes back after the Olympics, you can cover it off. It's going to be awesome.
Yep. You will be good. You're good to go.
BeyondWestworldPodcast.com would be a place you want to check out.
That's right. We are good with cheap plugs. You're welcome.
It is definitely more exciting than curling, I'll tell you that.
By the way, I want to say our 100th episode, or the episode for the 100th episode of the Blacklist, was great. I finally listened to the whole thing. You know, it's funny because I was there.
You're kind of there. You're kind of on it.
Yeah, I was kind of there, so I was part of it. So I hadn't listened to the full edit. You don't appreciate how editing works until you do it, I don't think. And I do it a lot, and Troy does it a lot. So you know when you hear a good edit versus a bad edit. And it came out great. So congrats to you. That episode came out well.
Thank you. Oof.
We did It was a great job. In fact, I felt like maybe we shouldn't come back. We should really go out on a high note and just say the show's over. We're done. We're not even watching. We'll come back for the finale and that's it, because that's how well I thought that episode came out.
Well, thank you. Couldn't have done it without you, man.
No, it's not all because of you. I mean, there's a lot of cool people on the show.
There's a lot of great people on the show.
Yeah, everybody from the show is on there. So if you haven't heard it, go back and listen. It was great. It was pretty cool.
Kudos to Bokenkamp for opening up the show. That was really nice of him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. The episode was great. I actually rewatched that episode like twice already. I really liked that.
It was good.
More each time.
It's fun. Fun.
This was a lot of fun too. I thought this was a lot more very stew maker-ish.
Well, I was pleasantly surprised, to be quite honest, because I really thought these two before the Olympics were going to be the, we'll just kind of throw two in here because it's the Olympics and we'll save all the good stuff for afterwards. But this was a really exciting episode tonight. Season 5 is knocking it out of the park.
I think they're killing it, man.
Yeah.
They are killing it. So I'm looking to find out what's going to happen next. But that's going to do it for this episode. It will conclude this episode. So be sure to follow us on Twitter at The Blacklist GSM, where we live tweet during the East Coast feed typically, and we use the show's hashtag The Blacklist.
Yes, don't forget to follow us on Tumblr, Instagram, and join the Facebook group and keep those conversations going. Just search for The Blacklist Exposed. Talk about the show, the podcast, or whatever you want to talk about, because we've got meals going on in there. Share your recipes. We got...
I still don't get what that is, but that's your... that's cool.
Douglas in the Facebook group, he started this thing where he shares what he has for dinner before the show. So now we're all eating dinner a little bit earlier. So, there's more people sharing their recipes. So if you got a cool Blacklist recipe, share it. Maybe we'll put a Blacklist cookbook together by the time this thing's over.
Yeah, I probably won't be part of that because it just made a sandwich. That's about as detailed as I go typically on a Wednesday night. All right. Well, you can also subscribe to our show on Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, or your favorite podcast player of choice. You can even listen from the website. But if you're really on the go like Raymond Reddington, make sure you download our app for iOS and Android, powered by Spreaker. You will also find all the intel and analysis about this episode for The Cook at theblacklistexposed.com. Big thanks for listening, everybody. And don't forget to answer our profiling question. Is Fagin the man who started the fire? We didn't start the fire. Now I got Billy Joel in my head, and it's not going to leave. It's not.
I was hoping we were going to get through the whole episode without that reference, but alas.
There's no way that's going to happen. Wheels been turning. We didn't start the fire.
It's a trap.
Troy, let's go.
It's a trap.
Thanks, everybody. We're going to talk to you next week. Have a great week.
We'll see ya. Until next time, I'm Agent Troy Heinritz. That's at Troy Heinritz on Twitter. And if you want to learn more about me, just visit, about.me/Troy Heinritz.
And I'm Agent Aaron Peterson. You can hear me talking about movies and TV on the Hollywood Outsider podcast, as well as Remake This Movie Right. We are available at thehollywoodoutsiders.com or on Twitter at 5popcorn. Be sure to subscribe, download the app, submit your feedback, but most importantly, keep yourself off of the Blacklist.
The Blacklist Exposed is a Golden Spiral Media production. Find more of our great podcasts at goldenspiralmedia.com/podcasts.